Damn opening. Woo! In Facebook and YouTube live history. You know it's true because it came out of my face. Let's go! Tante Oso, that bear you all know. Out of hibernation, literally, to entertain Raider Nation. Did you miss me? What? Wait a minute, what do you mean so? I mean, some stuff has happened. We've hired some guys, so on and so forth. But there is only one topic tonight. The Madman, Double X, the Condor, the human highlight reel. That is Max Crosby. But without further ado, remix over here. Often imitated, duplicated. It's that fool you know who shouts like Ric Flair. Woo! The Raider Bear. What's up, fam? Welcome to the show. Appreciate you all tuning in. But first, Tradish! Raider Bear Live. First comment, ahem. MVP tonight goes to ahem. By a lot and then some. John the Lion Leon. Always dropping L's, but never taking losses. Our middleweight champion of the world on YouTube, John the Lion Leon. Second place, our silver medalist that wears the gold belt. That five-moji making son of a gun, Mark Vargas. So things are picking up kind of right where we left off with the medal round, just with John getting a little spunky and getting out there in front of Mark Vargas. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, who's my third? Oh, do I even have a third? It's way down here. Third place. S.A. Big Dog. What's up, D? Welcome to the show. Always there for Raider Bear, S.A. Big Dog. Now on to Facebook. The man's becoming a legend around here. Carlos Boykins. What's up, Carlos? Welcome to the show. Always there for Raider Bear, defending, reigning champion of the world, Carlos Boykins. Second place, my silver medal goes out to one of my loved ones tonight. Look, whole family. Hi, honey. You know who won now. Kevin Kahuhano. I may still butcher your name, but I butcher it consistently. That's love. I'm not trying to say it differently every time, Kehuhanu. I don't change up. Third place, my bronze medal goes to Mr. Coinage himself, Steven and Mrs. Shaw. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Always there for Raider Bear. Oh, other honorable mention, one of my other benefactors, Corinna Trujillo. And there's Stephen Shaw, reminding all of you and reminding me to remind all of you that stars contribute to the show go directly to charities that we work with all over the world. we have been slacking on that of late because when we got to it here to Arizona, we got hit with a lot of red tape and we hit a lot of discomfort. And so we kind of took a break on it for a little while, but we're getting back to it because we've kind of finally gotten through all the red tape with Arizona and we're starting to get back on our bag because we don't like not helping people. You know what I mean? It was kind of bugging us, and Arizona was really giving us a hard time. No disrespect, Arizona. I want to be clear about that because I like it out here. It's been, in most instances, Arizona has been actually a little bit more efficient than California when it comes to like going and taking and tear your electrical bill or your garbage, or you want to, find out about, the code and where if you want to build an addition on the house and things like that. Their DMV is like lightning fast. I've never experienced that. I've lived in California my whole life, so I've never experienced being attended to immediately by someone that works at the DMV. It was such a bizarre feeling to have the lady call me right up right when I walked in the building. It was crazy. Mark Alvarez, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Joe Holman in the house. What's up, handsome Joe? Bro Bear, what's up? Arthur Munoz, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show. I am in the house, brother. How you doing? Jesse Parker, my fashion designer. What's up, man? Welcome to the show. That's right. If you really care, you share R8RBEAR. Keone Garcia, been watching since at least 2013 and lost contact for a while. Glad to be back. R8RBEAR! Good to see you, Keone. Great comment. Welcome back. Michael Purifoy, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Hope everything's well. Michael Purifoy, I don't know if you've sent me your address yet. I mean, I've sent you stuff in the past. I'm being stupid. I'll look it up in my book. I'm sure unless you've changed your mailing address in the last year or so. If you have, inbox me your address. If you haven't, I'm sure I have it. But I want to send something for your daughter and her new husband because they're just beautiful. And I'd love to send something to them, getting a young couple started. Okay, I messed up my notification then. My bad. V Miller, what's up, love? Welcome to the show. No, Mark Alvarez. How many stars does it take to be the first card? I'll throw in a jar of pickle juice. No. That gets you to the back of the line, brother. Maybe throwing out the back door. I have a real bouncer, okay? Don't make me get Handsome Joe on you. I'll do it. I appreciate the love. I've been working on it. I've been working on the stash. No, Kevin, no, never. Love you guys. I'll never give up. And Mark Alvarez. Definitely in the house. What's up, brother? What are you doing? Welcome to the show. Mark Alvarez is on speaking terms with me, even though his Sacramento Kings. I could do a whole show on how bad the Kings are right now. I won't, but I could. David Pelcliva, R8RBEAR! What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. All right, so let's get right to it. So what are all the angles to what's going on with Max Crosby? Okay, here it is. I think Max Crosby, when he was heard and quoted as saying, I'm not playing for the Raiders next year, I think he was trying to leverage the team. In other words, would the team take the bait of what he said and let him out of his contract by moving him somewhere else? Not letting him out of his contract, but moving him somewhere else, giving him what he wants. So the Raiders said no, because obviously he's a great player. He's under contract. So even if he may not want to play here this upcoming season, he doesn't really have a choice. So by doing what he did, I think he was trying to speed up the gears. In other words, we heard a lot of moves coming from one specific team. Now, were there teams throughout the league asking the Raiders about Max Crosby? Yes. But there was one team that was pushing aggressively. And most of you already know who it is. It was the San Francisco / Lost franchise that's actually in Santa Clara. with the fan base of pocket protectors and season tickets that they only use to woo business from other companies and they don't even watch the game. Can we get some more cheese and wine in here, please? Thank you, Pam. I appreciate it. So, so the Niners were the ones pushing the hardest, inquiring, from what I understand, on at least 3 separate occasions. When the Raiders said, no, we're not interested, the Niners said, okay, but here's what we're offering. Now, I couldn't get information on what the Niners were offering, but what I found out for sure was the deal changed. In other words, the Niners offered something like a feeler, which is what all the other teams did. But the only team that tried to sweeten the deal and add more was the Niners. And then in a late third attempt, they upped the deal again. In other words, they kept trying to entice the Raiders into a deal by saying, hey, we'll give you 2 first-round picks. We'll give you 2 first-round picks and 2 threes and a 5 the following season and a 6 the following season. How about that? Now, I don't know if that's the exact numbers that they were doing. Like I said, I don't know what the offer was. I just know that that's what happened. They escalated the offer. Okay, now, the Raiders then said, no, Max is not going anywhere. We love the guy. We sat down, we talked to him, introduced him to the new coach, blah, blah. Okay, all I'm trying to say is that could be a lot of talk. I'm not with the rest of these other Raider podcasters that you see that are saying to the Raider Nation, everyone calm down, Raider Nation, calm down. Max isn't going anywhere. Really? Okay, first, we already knew that. He's under contract. And the Raiders weren't the ones that started any of these rumors. In my opinion, Max kind of did. So now you can't hold Max's feet to the fire because the Raiders played the next move in the game. If this is a card table, Max said, I don't want to be here anymore. But he said it kind of on the down low to start rumors through the press and so on. But no one quoted him. No one had a quote. He kept saying, no, I didn't say that, or I didn't say this, blah, blah. But he did. He started the rumor that it could happen. Then the Raiders, knowing that that might be Max talking through the press, said, no, through the press. The Raiders then responded, John Spytek specifically, and said, no, we're not making any deal. We love Max. We're going into the season. We're excited about him. And we're going to start talking to him about re-upping his deal soon. So the Raiders in the press with Raider Nation put the ball back in Max's court because you notice they addressed the rumor. So that makes it real. Now, where we can pinpoint 100% for sure, I mean, did Max actually do it? Could it have come from somewhere else? Who knows? But why would someone else on Max's behalf start a rumor that he doesn't want to play here anymore? That doesn't make any sense. Even if it was like some sort of sabotage by the Niners, you can get in trouble for stuff like that. So teams don't really do that. All they can really do is feed into it by saying, oh, hey, we heard the rumor. Is he available? Is he available? Because you got to do your due diligence. And that's what the Niners did 3 times while escalating the deal when no one else was doing that. See, that implies to me that maybe Max may have broken some rules here. Now, obviously, we can never know. There's a million different ways that Max, his agent, or one or both, could reach out to some person innocuous with the Niners. It'll never get back to the NFL, never get out to the press, where Max could say, hey, I'd play for the red and gold if you guys could make a move. I'd play there. Now, see, he's not saying I want to go. He didn't say anything tampering like, yeah, come get me. He just said, I wouldn't say no to that if someone on my, organization with the Raiders said, hey, we're thinking about moving you to the red and gold. Would you be okay with that? I'll tell them, yeah. There's certain franchises I would say no. If they said, are you all right going to the green and white with the MESS, mess, Jets? He'd say no. You know what I mean? Okay, so now here's my trump card. Okay, sorry for using that terrible name. Politics, sorry. So the Niners have a football team / in the United States, we call it soccer when it's overseas, and they play what we call soccer, but they call it football. So the Niners have a lot of stock in an international team that plays soccer / football. And just recently, in the last few days, Max Crosby quietly moved to buy stock into that same team owned by the Niners. Why would he do that? By the way, Tom Brady has a European soccer team / football. Why didn't he invest in that one? I'm just waiting for Max to unfollow Tom on Instagram. Because that's the new professional way of saying, I don't want to be here anymore. What's your guys' opinion on that? I think that Max may still want to leave, knows that he can't, tried to force the hand of the Raiders. The Raiders then played him in the press and said, no, we want him to stay. If he wants to trade, he'd have to ask for one. Spytex said that. It's on the record. So that means now that the Raiders have already said, Raider Nation, don't get mad at us. We want him. And the only way that he can leave is if he asks for a trade. So by saying if he asks for a trade, you put the ball back in his court. So now the press and Raider Nation are like, Max, what are we doing? Time to make a comment finally, because he hasn't really gone on the record yet. Everything we have is speculation. He's denied some of the comments. Some of the comments the press keeps saying over and over again are real. They don't know why Max is trying to deny them because, there's people that can come with receipts that say he was putting this out there, not aggressively because he knows he's under contract, but he's kind of unhappy about the situation. I don't think he necessarily wants to be a part of a rebuild. He might have overreacted. I think Max Crosby's a fiery guy. And when I say that, I don't mean like his football. Obviously, his football, he's probably the fieriest guy, one of, in all of football. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that same fire extends to everything else in his life. I think he's explosive. I mean, think about when he got there. When he got to the Raiders, he had no tattoos. Now almost his entire body is covered with Bay Area, Raider Nation, the Lakers, Kobe, all sorts of the Dodgers, everything Bay Area, California. So I would not see him going to some other team in the East, or in the South, but Santa Clara / previously the name San Francisco. Why'd he buy into that team? He has to know that's going to make the air. He has to know that's going to make people wonder what's up. He has to know that looks like a message, and he has the money to burn. It's just an investment. It's not really that much money. People think about, hundreds of millions of dollars, this kind of stuff. No, he's a partner on the team, but he picked a team that was mostly owned by the 49ers. Enzo, I do not like the Raiders. I live the Raiders. See this? Doesn't come off. Fan since I was 16 years old. Efficient government agencies in California do not belong in the same sentence. John Rogers Jr., what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Sorry I'm late. The president was on TV telling a lot of lies. I'm almost believe half of his crap. No politics. Oh, wow, Michael. That's incredible. Okay, so it's a housewarming gift. I got him. That goes way back, Jesse, when we were playing the trivia game, right? Appreciate the stars and the love, though. Chico Cantu, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Marquez, Nick Marquez. I like that both ways. What's up, man? Welcome to the show. Always there, Joe. I know. V, I didn't think he would leave either because just like I was saying, contract-wise, the Raiders would have to be like almost disgusted with him to do it. You know what I mean? And he didn't get in trouble. He doesn't have a DUI. He didn't say the Raiders suck. He just put it out there that he didn't necessarily want to play here again if they're going to keep doing things the way they're doing them. And then almost immediately after he said that, we hired Kubiak, a young, aggressive coach that had to look good to him. We hired the defensive coach that he's in love with, the guy he gets along with most. We promoted him to defensive coordinator. and so he has to like what we're doing. The offensive coordinator is the former quarterback's coach and offensive assistant to the head coach, Kubiak, when he was with Seattle. So there's smart moves being made. And we've hired 11 coaches. I mean, that's a lot of guys for Max to interview, get to know, and get excited about. I don't know why he wouldn't. I mean, these are quality people. I don't think we even hired one old guy. I was just looking at the photos. Let me pull this up again. Yeah, I was just looking at the photos. We've got like one old coach. And when I say old, I mean like late mid 60s. You know what I mean? We've only got like 2 guys that fit that bill. All the rest are like 30s and 40s. Young, big smiles, energetic, ready to go. And so I'm excited in that way. I'm hoping he is too. Put butts in them. I just did that one for John. Thank you, V. I appreciate the love. Most of us agree that Mendoza is going to be the number 1 pick. But who do you think will be our starting quarterback week 1? And we don't throw Mendoza in there week 1, or do we? Jim G. Garrison, what's up, my friend? Welcome to the show. Great question. Multi-levels. I will touch on them all. Okay, so first, we do agree it's going to be Mendoza. I don't think there's any swerve that's going to happen on that. Unless something like happens with Mendoza publicly that comes out like he's got gun charges or something, Okay, so now, will he be starting week 1? I'm going to say this. I know the Raiders have recently let out some new information. Some of you will have heard about it, but you have to be pretty diligent about your Raider news to have heard about this. So I'm going to announce it anyway, just because I think it's pertinent. And here it is. The Raiders have made it very clear that they have no intention of just picking Mendoza. For example, if you pick Mendoza, what is the next most important thing we've all talked about? Oh, the offensive line. Okay, now that's true. And they are going to make moves there. They're already talking about a free agent offensive lineman that's out there that they're going to pay top dollar for. They don't care if anyone tries to outbid him, because there's only one team in the league that has more cap space than us. I forget who it is, but there's only one. So it doesn't really matter who it is. There's only one team that could outdraw us, and that would be for one guy. So we're going to make the offensive line better. We're going to draft talent, and we're going to bring in talent in free agency. So that's a done deal. I've already heard that now discussed by the Raiders, Spy Tech, Tom Brady, Mark Davis. They're all on board with Mendoza's the pick, and then offensive line help through the draft and through free agency. But they also stressed that the next most important thing, without question, is getting him a target maker. He's got to have a clear and away number one wide receiver. We can't keep playing around with these kids and Dante Thornton and Jack Besh and maybe some other guy mixed in there and Tucker. And, no, this kid's going to be, potentially a great quarterback. Okay, he shows all the pedigree. If we put talent around him, he could be great. But no one can be great playing from their back. So we got to get guys in front of him. We got to get bouncers in front of him. Now, we're going to do that. But who do you bring in free agency? Or do you bring in someone from the draft? Now, again, we're going to play a combination in the draft and free agency at wide receiver, because they're making it their mission to get him a number 1 guy. In other words, the quarterback situation is now solid for the first time for us in a long, long, long time. Did I say long? Long time. So now with that in their pocket, they know that's a franchise starter. If you get talent around this kid, no matter what we've seen from him in college, he has the tools, personality, arm strength. Not a dumb kid. We'll assimilate offense. Kubiak will be able to get this kid on the right page. It's not going to be any more Geno Smith guessing on routes and just unleashing the ball. So now here's the big thing. Pickens, the wide receiver free agent that's coming out of Dallas, he's considered the number 1 guy. Even though I know that he's the number 1 guy, I wouldn't mind if they also looked at Alec Pierce with the Indianapolis Colts. And we're going to have to pay top dollar for him. It's going to be somewhere in the $9 million to $11 million, somewhere in that range. The guy is gonna command top dollar, but I think we should pay it if we don't get our hands on George Pickens. Now, beyond George Pickens, there's that kid Romeo Doubs. I'm not really interested. I've looked at his numbers. He has decent numbers, but something turns me off about Romeo Doubs. I don't know. Maybe it's the measurables. I just don't like Romeo Doubs. And then Mike Evans with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. His name's been getting thrown around a lot. That's the reason why we really have to talk about this, because the Raiders are being very serious quietly about the fact that as much as they know they have to get this quarterback in the room and protect him, they've got to get him a target. And just having two tight ends as your main weapons, and really one, because Brock Bowers, no question, okay? I think Brock Bowers could be a future Hall of Famer. He's that good already. But as far as his teammate, I don't know, man. I love that guy coming out of college, and every year he's been with us, I've been supportive of him, except that he got off to such a bad start. And then I heard that he was having some kind of mental stability problems and family issues. And Michael Mayer was just all over the place. But if he can get his act together, it's still a two tight end attack is not going to win a Super Bowl. I don't even think it would win the division. It would be good. It'll pile up some numbers. But I want a number one wide receiver to go along with them. We already have the running back. You build up the offensive line to protect the quarterback. We're on our way. So there's a blueprint there. And they've discussed it. And so this is exciting because they've said we're going to do it that way. I think Max was pissed over being made to sit. They damn well better get him some help. Joe, I think they're going to do that because I think they have no choice. But more importantly, as far as what you said about him being pissed about shutting him down those last 2 days, I think that's right. And I think he said some things he may not have meant. You know what I mean? And then the Raiders had to go through the motions with the press and say, no, we don't want to trade him because it got put out there. But I think that's a boomerang that Max wishes he never threw. And when it came back, it got quiet because the Raiders said, we're not moving him. If he wants to be moved, he's going to have to ask. And as soon as they did that, it's over because obviously Max now has been put in checkmate as far as chess, because if he says he wants out, it ruins his reputation. He looks bad with the team he's leaving and he looks bad with the team he's going to. The Raiders can screw him over for putting the franchise in that position and send him to the Jets. Put fuss in him. Sorry, the Jets are like my favorite whipping boy. OG V Raiderette in the house. What's up, V? Randy Orton does want to do that. Jesse Parker. Okay, my thoughts on Max. I believe he has that Michael Jordan DNA that will keep him loyal to the team who drafted him till the Raiders get him the help he needs. I just think that there's a very high likelihood that what Joe just said is true. He got mad. He blew off some steam. And now it's over. And we've shown him that we want him in the building, that we're going to do everything to make this a winner. And there you have it. Mark Alvarez, no one's asking about Gino. Yeah, V. A lot of coaches at it. Okay, now as far as throwing Fernando in right away, I don't think that's going to happen because you don't want him to go in from day one and struggle. It could ruin his whole career. Now, before you say, "Oh no, he'll bounce back," blah blah blah, I'm telling you, you don't bounce back from the NFL. If they smell blood, they keep coming, and you end up like bait. And we know what sharks do with that; they swallow it up. It doesn't get to come back. And so, throughout the NFL, it's kind of been a tradition. You don't put a rookie out there unless he's 100% surefire or the team is so bad that you don't care. You're going to put him out there to let him, feel the speed of the game and take a few L's and then show us if you got some heart. But see, we're not really that bad. We're bringing in a young quarterback because we've been losing. So we got a high draft pick, but you got two nice tight ends. You know what I mean? You got a decent defense. You know what I mean? You got a running game there that's young and up and coming, and you got a new young coach and new offense coming in that's creative and innovative. And so, you know, this team's on the upswing. By any metric, we're on the upswing. That's right, V. No one can do it by themselves. They got to get him some help. There's going to be some people in this draft they can help him with. Johnny says, Mike Evans, yeah, I'm not a fan of him. I would just go as far as saying it's undeniable whether you like him or not. He's a good player. I just think he's older now, and I don't want our young quarterback starting with grandpa. You know what I mean? I want him with someone he's going to be excited to play with. Pete said we need to play like the Oakland Raiders. I'd like to see that. I think we can if we get Fernando in there and we really give him a shot. He'll throw that rock and we'll win some games. We just need 2 good off seasons to compete in our division. Raider Pavilion, I would say 2 is a good prediction because we have like a half of a roster, a quarter of a roster now, 2 seasons, 2 drafts. You could probably, you know, really re-up in a lot of nice places. But if it's only 2, that means you got to hit on a lot of guys. You'd have to hit on at least like 6 guys, you know, 3 one draft, 3 in the other, you know, that could really step in and really make plays, become starters. Sup, Puddin'?
Hello.
Show him the do. Yeah, I look good. Right? Got the new cut. I love your face. Thank you, love. Oh, wait. You're always checking on me. That's what I need. That's my girl. V, Gino's already gone, so feel better. Steve and Mrs. Shop. Appreciate the love, brother. Mark Alvarez said, breaking news, the Warriors lost to the Pelicans. Shut up, okay? They're playing good. And we were on the road. We don't have Steph. We didn't have Al Horford. We didn't have Jimmy Butler. We didn't have Steph. Did I say that already? You know, that's like 2 people. The Seahawks have some nice free agents that would bring instant credibility to the Raiders secondary. Yeah, and I know at least one of their star defensive backs, I can't remember his name. I think his number was 22. I'm pretty sure he's going to come over because there's been rumors of him since like Pete Carroll came over. So I think there's one defensive back's definitely going to come to us. Appreciate that, V. Start AOC to make sure our O-line is doing their job, getting GT going and pass protection. AOC will be good. Test dummy. KK might even make him look good for a trade. Raider Pavilion, I don't know about AOC. I think they may use him to probably bring in more draft picks potentially. And then they may go after a different free agent quarterback, someone maybe a little older that they can definitely move off of the spot later on. It won't be this name, but I'll give you a name to give you an example. It would be like bringing in Kirk Cousins, knowing that he's going to sit on the seat, you know, for maybe 4 weeks. And then if the roster's looking good, even if he's winning, they're going to go to Fernando. Al Domingo said we need to put Raider Bear at the O-line center. Look at that beautiful baby. I love that. I love that profile picture, brother. Craig Dominguez says, what about a fullback? Craig, that's possible. And with the offense that Kubiak's going to run, he's going to want to move the ball on the ground. He's no matter how innovative his offense is, he's not going to get away from the running game. So we will see that. We will see a push for the running game, but I don't know if he'll go as far as bringing in a fullback. I don't know about that. The Green Bay Packers backup quarterback, my nephew, Malik Willis, would be a great bridge until the O-line is up to snuff. See, okay, now King Eddie Willis, that's exactly what I'm talking about because most people are thinking it might be 4 to 6 weeks. I gave you that scenario, but I honestly think the Raiders would rather they were able to bring someone in cheap that could actually come in and maybe win 10 or 11 games. And if they could do that, then you could really let Fernando sit the entire year, really getting himself together. And then if we don't make the playoffs, you just bring him in at the tail end for like the last 3 or 4 games. Let him get some wins. Let him get some momentum. You go into the offseason. He's a man. He's gained 10, 15 pounds. Comes into the next year. We make a real run. Do you think Spytek could steal Mike Evans away from the Bucks? Jesse, I think he could, but he's going to be a free agent. But I don't like it. I don't like it. I feel like it's the same thing with Tyreek Hill. He was an amazing guy at one time. I don't want to pay for what he used to be. I don't think he's that anymore, and I don't think Mike Evans is that anymore. Why is this hat squeezing me so hard? What size is this? 7 and 3. Oh, well, yeah. I think my head's getting bigger because that was my 7 3/8. It like hurt. I don't know. I think this one's a snapback. So this one's kind of loose. This one's better. My brains were coming through my ears. Salute to great kids. Appreciate the love. Got to hit in free agency, find 3 to 4 good starters each draft, develop what we already have as well. Bad coaching made some of our players look worse than they are. I agree. Appreciate the love, King. V has a message for everybody. Check out her live Fridays at 4. I say AOZ because I don't want to spend a dime on any free agent quarterbacks. I think we have a lot of money. I think he's a good test dummy. I agree with that. Never starter material, but maybe enough to accomplish getting a system established. I would agree with that. And I don't know. I don't agree that the story's out there already on AOC. I like him. He's been with a dysfunctional team his whole career with dysfunction at coach that was moving him in and out and fracturing his confidence. I don't judge anything we've seen from AOC yet. Nothing. Literally nothing. I wouldn't hold anything against him, and I wouldn't elevate him too much. Had he won a few games, I'd be like, so what? I mean, I don't think we've really seen what he's capable of. I really don't. I think when he was at Purdue, he was very nice quarterback. I personally compared him to Captain America. He doesn't have the flashiest special powers, but he's a leader, and he stands in there and he fights. And when he was at school, he was known for that, and they won, and it's why he made it in the NFL. And I just don't understand why they never really gave him a chance when there was opportunities to. Ramiro Cashflow Castro asks, will the fan base be patient enough to let him sit? No, but there's my professional, educated answer. But to answer that more elaborately, they don't have a choice. We don't, as fans, we don't have a choice. We can't, you know what I mean? We'll bitch about it, but it would just be better for him to get a year under his belt. We've forgotten that because the NFL has let us as fans get impatient. And now every first round pick quarterback is supposed to start right away. And if he doesn't, he's a bust. That's ridiculous. And if he doesn't have a great year, his opening year as a rookie, he's a bust. You know what I mean? That's what we've been taught as fans now to do and to think when these guys come in the league, and it's ridiculous. Messing with my spotlight here because what happened there? Whoa. But sorry, I got distracted there. But yeah, I like what we're doing. The fan base is going to have to wait. I think they should give AOC a shot. Although I wouldn't be surprised if they go into free agency and try to bring in a quarterback that pull a Kirk Cousins kind of move. Someone that will know coming in the door. He might get a year. He might get to, at best, a year and a half. And he's going to be gone. Appreciate the love. We do have plenty of money. I want all that spent on the trenches and maybe Alex Pierce. I want our O-line addressed before we get to the draft. The O-line will not be addressed by the time we get to the draft, but the process of finishing the O-line being addressed coming out of the draft, I think will be. In other words, I do think we're going to look at some people at free agency. I know we've already solidified a couple people that we had on our, what do they call that? Future to be signed, blah, blah, blahs. Guys, I'm being waved off camera. I have a little bit of an emergency to deal with, so I have to end the show a little bit early tonight. But watch for me to put up another card. I will be on tomorrow night again. Much love, R8RBEAR family page. Peace.